Hey everyone, if you guys like the content, go and subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, and give the video a like or share. All right, you guys, welcome to the listening room. My name is Eddie Booz. I'm your host, and today with me, my guest, my special guest, Mr. U.L. Harper, all the way from Puyallup, Washington. Did I say that right?
Yeah, I was in Puyallup. I'm in Tacoma now, actually.
Oh, you're in Tacoma now?
Yeah, I rock Tacoma. They make songs about this place. None of them are good.
I love that. Okay, cool, man. So, dude, I got you on today. We're going to talk about some of your books. We're going to talk about some of your writing and some other stuff as well. But first things first, I always like to do a little bit of gratitude before we start with anything. I like to start the show off with a little bit of gratitude. So today, I am so happy and grateful that I have got to experience, and I know I'll get to experience more amazing literary works. I figured I'd keep my gratitude right in line with what we're doing today. So I've gotten to experience some incredible books throughout my life, and I look forward to experiencing a bunch more incredible books. And some notable authors I'd like to throw a shout out to are Clive Barker. He was he was an author that you got me into, Arnold, and dude, like, so good. Like, I read Weave World was the first one I read, and then I read the Books of Blood and a couple other things, but Clive Barker's just an absolute brilliant literary mind. If you guys haven't read any Clive Barker's books, go check them out. They're fantastic. And I was always a big Stephen King fan as well growing up, and Dean Koontz as well. I was always into thriller, horror, things like that. But yeah, so I'm today I'm happy and grateful that I've gotten the opportunity, and then I know I'll get more opportunity to go ahead and check out some other amazing literary works as well. So, Arnold, why don't you go ahead and tell us something you're grateful for today?
You know what? I'm just grateful for my daughter.
I love it.
It's craziness. I think last time I was in your area, I didn't have a kid, and now I'm all, dude. Every day, people talk about the importance of not gratuity. What's the word I'm looking for?
Gratitude.
Is it gratuity? Gratitude. Not gratuity, gratitude. And I'm all, every day, I always wake up after she does. She'll come into my room. Daddy, wake up. Wake up, Daddy. Wake up. I'm like, girl, I'm awake. She's like, no. Wake up. I'm like, look at my eyes. And she's like, wake up. And I'm like, I love this shit. I love this shit.
That's awesome, dude.
But let me go into what you're saying with Barker. This is what's crazy. My first book was Weave World. I dived into Books of Blood because why not?
Dude,
you know
seriously.
And I'm like, this is out of control. I just went right on down the list, and I'm all, oh my god, like you're allowed to do this? This is out of control, man. This is just out of control. So Barker was huge. Was huge for me. Now I'm starting to finally understand what I like in just reading. Dude, historical fantasy horror is where it's
historical fantasy horror. So give me an example.
So I went to I picked up some Alice Hoffman.
Okay.
I walked into a Barnes and Noble, and I'm a book snob now. I just thumb my nose at paperback. So I'm looking for like sick looking hardbacks that have like that sort of thing. They got to look away and feel a certain way. I got to be like, yeah. Otherwise, I'm like, I might as well be walking around the store with like a little glass of wine.
Yeah, I know.
This is what I'm doing. When I pick up the
Virginia
Hoffman,
Slim.
I read the first. No. I pick up the Hoffman. I read the first line, and my very first thought was, I like held it down. I looked around, like no one's fucking seeing this shit. How is this even here? One line. I bring it back home. start reading it. World War II.
Okay.
It has a map. It has a map to begin, like a fantasy
Sure.
novel, but it's World War II. Mom, daughter trying to get out of Poland. If I remember correctly, Poland, and they had to help them escape. They make a golem, and it's just wicked cool. And I'm like, dude, fantasy historical? Fuck yes.
Okay. I can get
Fuck
down
yes.
with it.
And I recognize another book that I just loved reading right now, actually for school, is exactly that. It's fantasy historical with mixtures of horror to it. And I'm like, this is great, man. And I recognize that's exactly what I'm writing right now. It's all
Really?
historical. Oh yeah, historical fantasy with like sprinkling some like what the fuck, the horror piece. I'm like, that is amazing. I
I
love
to-
that.
I
I
totally
love
dig
that.
it, dude. I totally dig it. I'm gonna have to get into it. Do me a favor and give me a quick suggestion of a book I should jump into that might be good for a first read as far as that genre goes.
Hey man, it's called In Darkness, which is interesting.
I love it, dude. Okay, cool. So,
It's called Mine is in Blackness, but this is In Darkness, and it's by Nick Lake, and it's historic. Do you know Nick Lake?
no, but I'm gonna check it out.
Oh, anyway, just like you did.
I was saying what's up because everybody's saying what's up on the chat. What's up, Ray, Maya, Ashley, everyone else was in here tonight. Anyway, continue.
Let me
Continue.
get back to it. Ray, Maya, Ashley. Okay. All right, check it. I kid you not, son. This dude, Toussaint, freed slaves in Haiti. True story. But this guy goes in historical with it, and then fictionalizes that same situation, and you just gobbled it up like it's like a pancakes or eggs. You just like
Cool.
straight literary
In
breakfast.
Darkness, I dig it.
Yeah. It's under YA for some reason, but whatever.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Let's check in with Daisy real quick, see what she thinks about that. Oh, we had to check. She loves it. She always does. We had to check in with Miss Daisy. So, okay. So just talking about a little gratitude earlier and kind of coming off of that. I always like to say that it's good to stay active in your own mental and emotional health. And one of the best ways I find to do that by staying active in your mental and emotional health is to actually acknowledge and celebrate the things that you're grateful for as much as possible. I find that that's one of the best ways to kind of keep yourself active, like I said, in your mental and emotional health, and keep yourself positive and kind of, like I said, just kind of keep yourself consciously, on the path of that gratitude, of that love, of that abundance and that success. So anyway, let's get into our song today. We're gonna do our song today is something I wrote in 2009. It's called The Watchers. I did all the instruments to this tune. Let's go ahead and take a quick listen to The Watchers.
Watch inside your soul from foreign rooms of gold. The kings upon the throne and crowns of black and coal. We watch inside the doors of ruin that you are, from land you dream of, the silence of the dark, losing touch of sounds and war. Inside your moon, a voyeuristic world. We fools upon the knee, with bending hooks unfurled. We live inside the pain, you barely know the truth. So
And we are back. That was The Watchers. I gotta put that album together. So the last couple shows that I've done, I played you guys A Different Crime and Play the Game, and then another one, I can't remember the exact name of it, Run We Will, I think, and then this one, and they're all kind of in the same genre. I wrote them all around 2009, and I'm gonna pop those in. I'm gonna pop those in and probably like try and release some album or something like that. But if you guys dig the songs you've been hearing, go ahead and message me. Hit me up on Instagram. Send me an email right here on YouTube, you guys, and I'll be glad to go ahead and forward you guys a link to all of these songs. Yeah, I did, Ray. Very, very sad. Yeah. So yeah, Ray actually told me that Chuck Norris passed away actually today. So that's a real big tragedy. I'm really sorry to hear that. He was a big inspiration to me growing up, especially as a martial artist. So. Dude,
he's recovering.
Funny. All right. So I'm gonna actually have to like go back like when we're done with this show and actually like cut that out now. Thanks, fucking Ray. All right, so
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Dude, I didn't read any of it. I didn't read it. I just saw the dude. You woke me up with that shit, dude. Like I'm not gonna wait. I'm not gonna open that at fucking 8:30 in the morning and read that article. Like, are you kidding me? Like I saw the article. I fucking okay, yeah. I'm like that sucks, you know. Like, but I'm not gonna. You're a fucking asshole, Ray. All right, so let's go ahead and get to Arnold's stuff. All right, my dude. Let's do this. All right, so you are a writer. You're an author. You have some awesome books out too, dude. I love the In Blackness stuff. I've read the first two. Anxiously awaiting the third. And I know you just recently wrote something called The Secret Deaths of Arthur Lowe. Can you tell me a little bit about kind of the plot to that, if that's possible?
Yeah, it's possible. Very simple, complex plot. Very simply complex. At the core of it is just some guy who his wife dies and he wants to bring her back to life. That's all. It's really what it is. And it's all the consequences that happen to come with that. And we just mention I just talk about his history. Like, how did he get to that? How did him and his wife get to that point? And it's a really, really, really fucking weird story, man. It's really, it's wild.
Okay, so where can people find and read this exact story?
Wherever books are sold. Like,
really?
Like wherever. Yeah. There's not a bookstore on the planet, I don't think, that can't just either order it or just like whichever. But most people are familiar with Amazon. Just go to Amazon, go to Barnes & Noble, wherever you see.
Cool.
You'll be like, oh, there it is.
I love it. I love it.
So do I.
That's awesome, dude. That's super cool, dude. Okay, so as an author, you know, I have questions about this because I'm a songwriter, you know, and I have other creative, you know, creative instincts, you know. But when I read your stuff, it actually inspired me to write my own novel, you know, which I'm halfway through and haven't really worked on for a while. You actually read some of, but where did that start for you? You know, where did being an author start for you? Like, where did like the need or the even want to like write? Where did that all come in for you? Like to play?
I started writing stories about junior high, and I think I did it just from reflecting through the pad and pen next to me, and I had an idea. The stories were about a page. They didn't mean anything. It was just small ideas. It's kind of like working out a muscle, and you just keep pushing it, and one page becomes like 10 and 20, your handwriting, and then you got to go further, so you start learning the editing process.
So where do you start? Like when you're going to start something, like when you're going to start a book, like where do you start?
So this is what I do, and it's always worked like this. If ever I start a book, it means I've had that idea for about 2 or 3 years.
Really?
Probably something like that. Example, when I did In Blackness, that idea was probably there for about 2, 3, 4 years. And it's a whole big thing of that might be a story, but it's really a concept.
Now, did you develop it in your head before you even put it to paper at all, or did you have the kind of a basic idea and start writing, and then it kind of developed itself as you wrote?
Interesting question. So I knew that was going to be a coming of age novel. It was a coming of age story of young Dustin searching for his mother. That's what it was. And what had happened was, instead of pulling the caption and right ending, I sprinkled in some foreshadowing, and I'm like, everyone gets wiped out. Everyone freaking gets wiped out. Aliens take over the planet, and that's just what I did, and it was wild. I went to some beta readers, and they're like, dude, this is a crazy horror novel. I'm like, is it a horror novel? Is it? And then I went back and drafted and made it a horror novel.
Interesting.
So it was a literary novel. Example, there's 3 main characters. It was 1, and I split them up. I split him up into the other 2. And
okay.
Did the story. So did the stories that way. So you imagine the original Dustin was religious and had all of Saline and all the other characters' qualities, and I just split them up.
Interesting.
After it turned into a horror novel, I'm like, leave him there, leave that story with his dad who beats him.
Sure, yeah.
Which is where it starts. I was like, well, wait, how are we gonna do this? And I added and added and added and added, and then I shrank it.
That was I loved In Blackness. I thought that was a great book, and I loved the reinvention of man as well. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to reading the third one. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at your website here. Hey Arnold, Ray asks if this is also available as an audiobook.
No.
It's a really good question, and I think Ray's he makes a good point there. You know, I have the capabilities to knock that out for you. You know, and I got it, and I'll I'll do it in whatever accent you want me to.
Yeah. If you wanna navigate that, we could talk about that.
I think it's a good idea, dude.
But if we get to it in conversation, there's a philosophical thing of why I haven't done an audiobook yet.
Oh, why is that?
Well, but I will. I will be doing audiobooks, but I haven't done it yet because I've always just hated audiobooks. Always hated them. Here's why. When I read, nobody else is talking about me. It's talking about me. When I read, I have my own inner wording, like how I think things are. With the audiobooks, it's somebody else's, and I'm always bouncing against them. I'm always knocking against them. I'm like, dude, quiet. It's like, you need to be quiet. Why don't I just read it for myself? Like, that's what winds up happening. So
interesting.
I've never done an audiobook because I want the reader to hear my voice, not the interpretation of who's reading it.
Gotcha.
And that's like, so someone says, well, why don't you just read it? I'm like, I have this list, and I'm like spitting at the microphone all day, and I can't like just spit at the readers. You know, that's like my own personal thing. But I will be doing audiobooks because I'm trying to let that go. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm trying to let that go a little bit. But realistically, that's really what I think. I've heard people say they read it in audio. I'm like, no, you listened to it in an audio.
Yeah, right.
You don't read with your ears, bro. That's just how it is. It does something different to me. I'm just kind of recognizing it, but that's why. But in the near future, there will be audiobooks.
Awesome. And, dude, that's... well, hey, dude, I'm looking forward to... like I said, you know, hearing some stuff in the future too if you end up knocking that out. But definitely reading some of those books that you're coming out with, dude. I got to get the third In Blackness, bro. Like, I don't know what I got to do to like light a fire under your ass to write that book, but write it. Like, you said you were halfway through and some stuff before there were some things that happened that kind of threw you off.
Yeah, man.
I know.
Yeah,
like,
man. Yeah, man. We talked about this a little bit, but hey, so. Annihilation came out,
right? And
I watched the movie. I'm like, oh, that's a really good movie. Problem, let me read this book because this is my story exactly. Like it was the third story. It was
book 3, yeah.
It was book 3. It was, and I think Annihilation is like book 3 of that series.
You're
as well.
Kidding?
So I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, dude, this is just fucked up. So I had it takes place in the future, and this character was being drawn to that place, and she was going to be with whomever else, and basically, the actual place assimilates to its surroundings. That's like what it does. That's like the point.
Sure.
So I'm all, well, I can't just do that. So I had to revise the approach. I switched things up and kind of gathered additional emotional content.
Gotcha.
In that direction. And it's going to be probably the most high anxiety piece of work I've ever written. And I'm kind of looking forward to just meditating on it and feeling nasty for a few months while writing it.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at let's go ahead and take a look at your website here a little bit, actually. I'm going to go ahead and
bring that up.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at your website here. And so this is the cover for The Secret Deaths of Arthur Lowe. Is that correct?
Yeah. But yeah, pause that for a second. I want to talk about that cover. So check this out. That cover, when myself and Ashley Farron were putting that cover together, she's the same person.
Oh, Ashley did the video stuff.
Yeah, she did the video stuff. She did all the in black and stuff. When we were putting this together, we were like, this cover's in the wrong genre. Like, it looks like it's like a romance novel of some sort. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was like, yeah, don't care, because that's just what we're rocking with. And you see the flowers, and you can't tell because of modern age figures, digital, but they're not. Those are the actual flowers she had. She bought the ones on top and let them wilt, and just took pictures of both. And it's talking about moving through time. Like, hey, shit's cool, love is really nice, but that shit goes away. And that's like kind of the thematically is what moves on through the story. Pretty ill, kind of ill. And if you keep scrolling down to the in blackness stuff, I'll tell you something about it that you might not know. Both covers, maybe not the first one, definitely the second one, that's actual charcoal that she did.
Oh, you're kidding.
Like that. Yeah, like the glow around them is eraser. Like she erased around it and shit.
That's cool.
So these are OG charcoal drawings. And it's kind of, it's artwork. And it's actually, the artwork is part of the collage that goes with the video, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is some of the art that came out of it.
Dig it.
It's like part of this, like if we're at an art show, it'd be all in the same pieces of art, you know what I'm saying?
Dude, let me ask you, okay, so why don't you tell the audience, because they don't know, we talked about a little bit about The Secret Deaths of Arthur Lowe. Why don't you explain a little bit about what the In Blackness series kind of entails and encompasses?
Am I allowed to give spoilers or no?
If you want to give spoilers, it's your book. I mean,
yeah, I never care about spoilers. I'm like, I'll spoil everything. I'm not concerned.
Well, don't spoil too much. I'm sure I want some of the the people out there who are readers to, if they want to read the book, I don't want them to be too spoiled. So tell us enough, but don't spoil all of it.
All right, fair enough. So, what In Blackness actually is about it winds up actually being a horror concept when all is said and done, regardless of how I started the concept. It winds up being a horror concept. The whole idea is our protagonists, our good guys, are essentially being led. The end result is to be in a human abattoir and be annihilated. That's the whole point of everything that's happening there. And In Blackness being the theme is humans taste best when they're slaughtered in blackness.
Right.
That's the core. That's the core idea.
Okay.
Whatever happens with the fear, it sits best. So put you in the dark, turn on the lights. You're really scared. Yeah, let's do it now. That's like the idea.
Dude, the very first time, so there's a part towards the end of the first book where you get to experience what is actually happening. You kind of tell it from first person of the character that's actually experiencing it, that's in the room when all the deaths start happening, and it's so extremely intense and unlike anything I've ever read before. And I absolutely loved it. When I was reading that, I was very intrigued. I was like, wow, this is super original. I totally dig it. It's a mass alien invasion story, but it's told through the eyes of 3 adolescents.
Yeah, so it's a mass alien invasion story, but not approached like that. So I remember one of the comments you gave me originally was, like, in the beginning, it wasn't what you thought it was. It moved differently.
Yeah.
And you're like, it just doesn't move like that. You don't know it's a mass alien invasion story until around then.
Right.
Until around then.
Because you see all these people doing things. These people in suits and things like that are working and that are doing specific things, and then you don't really understand exactly the extent of what's going on until you get to experience, like I said, the fear when those people get put in blackness, like.
Yeah. So for the audience, this isn't even giving away the story; it's just a scene. But people are herded into a repurposed library, and the doors are from the floor to the ceiling. And later we find out that's so that the huge aliens can walk in and out. But you don't know that as a reader going in. It's just this big black space. They illuminate these lights, and these aliens have these cleavers and whatever tools they have. I forget what the tools are. And they start grabbing people and chucking them like corn and tossing them in the corner. And everyone's trapped, being beheaded, and there's blood and skin. It's fantastic.
It was pretty gnarly, dude. I was like, well, it's like I said, you got to be down with the horror read. You know what I'm saying? Like, but here's the thing: nothing like that really happens in the book until you get to the end, and then you have this massive, intense,
Right, and that's what's interesting about the writing process. That's because it wasn't meant to be a horror novel at first.
Right.
But so the timing isn't horror timing. It's someone told me it's a general mood that sits there, and you're always waiting, and you're waiting, and you're like, oh, what's that? And then you're waiting, you're like, oh, that's weird. And then you're like, dude, really?
And you're like, wow.
That's what I was told. But when I go to the reinvention of man, it's an action story.
Much more of an action story.
It's an action story. It's about, here's the action, here's the results. Here's the action, here's the results. And all the slower, I'm going to call them slower moments, but all the backstory is sprinkled in before chapters, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's like a side story that gives you the background of everything that I hadn't said in the first one to get everything started.
Dude,
but isn't
the extent of where you went with how humans could like amalgamate like themselves into these suits, dude, was super cool. Dude, like, I was reading this going like, what am I reading right now? You know what I mean? Like, it was, and I loved it.
Yeah. I'll be honest, I hadn't read the reinvention. I hadn't even thought about it till we were talking about doing this, and I was in my basement doing laundry, and I was like, what happened in that story? And I thought about something that you just brought up. I'm like, that's so fucking wild,
dude,
man.
Super cool, bro. Very cool elements to the story writing. I totally dig your writing. I'm so glad I can have you on and show some of your stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the Flesh Statue. So this was your first novel, correct?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about the Flesh Statue. Now, this kind of hit home for me. It was really weird because when you told me what this was about, I was like, whoa, because this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is about a gentleman who takes care of his grandfather who has Alzheimer's disease. Is that correct?
Yeah, man.
So that hit home with me because for 11 years, I took care of my grandmother who had Alzheimer's disease, and seeing the progression of that disease was a very intense, experience, and then when you told me about this story, I was just kind of like, whoa. In fact, can be completely honest with you, I haven't read it yet only because it was a little too close to home at the time, and
I'll be honest, man, this will probably always be my favorite story and the hardest to read because it's really close to the vest. And it's an interesting story how it came about. When you're trying to write your first novel, you don't really know. there's some things you just haven't done yet in storytelling, so you just pull directly from yourself. This is what you do.
Right.
And so there's a point of time where my family, we got a break on our rent or mortgage. I want to say rent, if we took care of a family member who had Alzheimer's. And it took me a little while to figure that's what the case was. Because I was like, who is this person? And I'm like, oh, is that Aunt Mimi? Really? I didn't recognize her, but that process of taking care of her, absolutely insane, absolutely intense. And I didn't know anything about it, but all those events were so specific. I added that in. So I took my aunt who had the Alzheimer's and combined my granddad, who I just miss him a lot.
I bet.
That's it. I just miss him a lot.
I understand, brother.
I combine those two to make the emotional backdrop of that piece.
That's heavy, man. And I'm glad you wrote it, you know. And then I will be reading this soon. I actually have a copy of this. I have a soft cover. I have a paperback.
I wound up cutting 100 pages at some point.
Did you?
Because yeah. And this is the second. What we're looking at is the second cover that went on it, and it's all digital. If I'm to be completely honest, I'm going to re-release this book at some point, and I'm going to shed a lot of it, and I might turn it into vignettes, and I want people to see the actual arc of this particular story. It's a really interesting way to tell a story. It's really interesting, but I don't even know if I would be able to do something like this again, because I don't have the emotional back to bring it forward. Not sure. If I was told someone, if they wanted to know about me in fiction, this is it. This is it.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, the term flesh statue is what the granddad looks like when they find him on his final resting spot in his chair. Is that he looks like a flesh statue. That's it. So someone's like, is it porn? Oh, no, it's not porn. It's not porn. It means this whole other. It means this whole other.
You're like, no. You're like, no, it's not fucking porn.
No, it's not. Oh, and newsflash, my buddy Braun did the cover, and you can see his on the back of the character, you can see his little icon. I don't know if you've ever met Braun.
Are you talking about Braun? What's his last name?
Alderson. I think it's Alderson.
I think I met Braun.
I'm pretty sure you've met Braun. You'll see on the back, it's like its head. You'll see it around. You'll see the head around. You'll see the head somewhere.
I got you.
I have like a T-shirt with the head on it.
Nice. Dude, this is awesome, man. I love your work. Dude, I'm really looking forward to The Secret Deaths of Arthur Lowe. I actually didn't know it was out until I talked to you about the show, so I'm really excited about getting a copy of it and taking a quick read. I gave you my address earlier, so send me a copy, but I'm going to go ahead and download it and go ahead and give it a read. Well, let's also go ahead and take a look at the promotional video for In Blackness. Now, Ashley Farrand, is that correct? She's the one who did the artwork for this?
Yeah, she did all the artwork, and that was a fantastic experience. We were trying to be really quick about it, but incredibly true to what it should look like. You know, everything's kind of too small and too big at the same time, you know what I'm saying? And so, yeah, it was a great experience.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and check it out. Let's go ahead and check out the video for In Blackness. That was awesome. Now that was super fun to do, the music for that. Yeah, man, that was super cool. Ashley did a great job on those illustrations and the cover, like we were mentioning, before we came out of that song. I was just talking to you about it, but the cover to that book is awesome, dude. It really made for a great visual of, kind of what was, kind of the impact that story made, especially towards the end that we were talking about,
Yeah, that was the first. There was no revision. She was like, "How does this work?" I'm like, "Perfect, let's go." And that was it.
Right.
That was it,
dude.
I just wanted the little kid in the side, and I'm like, "Yeah, that's eerie as fuck."
Yeah, dude, absolutely. Well, let's check in with Miss Daisy and see what Miss Daisy thinks. She loved it. She always does, like I said. That's great to see you, Arnold. It's good to see you, my man. I'm going to have to come back out to Washington pretty soon and visit you in Tacoma now, not in Puyallup anymore. So it's Tacoma.
Yeah, dude.
So where's Tacoma in Washington, like geographically? Northeast, southwest, where we at?
I'm going to put everything in coherence to Seattle, because everybody knows Seattle.
I don't know where. Just pretend like I don't know where Seattle is. Like, what quadrant of the state is Tacoma in?
Oh, southeast.
Southeast. I got you.
Yeah. It's heading from Seattle area or anywhere north. It's going towards Oregon. It's going down to Oregon. It's going towards California.
Got you.
Yeah, Tacoma's like it's like the Long Beach of Washington. Really.
How do you figure that?
If you come out, you're like, oh, it looks like Washington, and then you're like, you look at the people, like how things work, and you're like, this is so Long Beach. It's the same type of diversity in the same kind of areas, and you're like, yeah, it's totally.
I can dig it.
It's absolutely, yeah. You're like, if you ever been to a Portfolios, we're in Portfolios. Sure. That
area.
There's like a version. Yeah, there's like that version of Portfolio, like 4th Street.
Like that
there's
art,
like that version.
Like the art district down there in Long Beach.
Yeah, like one long strip. It's like this. You got the same thing at the same spots, and the same people are there doing the same shit.
Sure.
And you're like, dude, it's like Long Beach of Washington, and Seattle's like L.A. It's just how it is.
Right. That's awesome, dude. Well, it's wonderful to have you on today, my man. Are you writing anything right now?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
For real.
Now with the reaction, I need to know what it is. Like, you got, come on.
I don't say this lightly, but this shit'll pull your face back, bro. Like, remember the first time you had like a big chug of whiskey? That's the kind of feeling you get. That's like what I got when I first like verbalized what this was about. I was like, oh, woo, and it was one of those fucking things.
Awesome, dude. All right, can you tell us what it's about or no?
I'm only like 50,000+ words in. So
that's a lot. I mean, what are you aiming for?
I like 75.
Okay, you're almost there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm almost there. Okay, so here's the trick. So main character, artist, she comes home from college. She finds out a friend just committed suicide. She's like, oh, fuck, man, damn. She's trying to talk to her dad about it, and he's alluding to something else. And then she realizes she's made of clay. Her clay totally goes hard, and she goes into another world. And in that world, everyone there has either committed suicide or been murdered. That's who ghosts are. And she finds that she can pull ghosts out of their ghostly loop. That's what it is. So she like goes to her ex-boyfriend's house, and he's repetitively like shooting himself in the head and killing himself. And she's like, okay, I'm going to get you out of here. What a
trip, dude.
And it's the worst thing. I spent like a week just killing people. Just, is it a hanging? Is it a gunshot? Right. Was it a drive-by? And what's crazy is, like, each block is like another time period. Like, one block is in the 60s, because that's where it happened. Like, another house is in, like, the 90s.
Interesting.
That's where that happened. Yeah, and like so they'll go. It's like daytime over here. It's nighttime over here, and it's just there's just going through history and going through these murders and trying to help people out. It's fucked up.
That,
It's
that's
horrible. It's
crazy,
horrible.
dude. Well, I'm looking
Yeah,
forward to reading it, dude. Send over just fucking pop off a PDF for me and send over what you got already. Unedited and everything, dude.
just not even edited.
Just shoot it to me. Let me read it.
Yeah, I mean, there so much cool stuff to experiment
Love
with.
it.
So much.
I
Stuff.
love it,
So
bro.
much
I
stuff.
love it, dude. That's awesome.
It's just
So I
horrible.
gotta ask, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you this: like, for anybody who's an aspiring writer, for anyone who's out there looking to possibly write a book or put some words on paper, what would be your best advice for such aspiring writers?
If you asked me this about a year ago, I'd be like, just just write and figure it out because most writers come to the same conclusion about process and things that just suck and things that are variations of getting to the right place. Like there are some bad practices and there's some practices that are iffy. That's part of it. Now I wouldn't say that. Now I'm more apt to say something like, you need to go ahead and become critical of what you're intaking as far as art, and you need to make a decision on what you think about certain things. And you need to cognizantly know what is attracting you to certain things that you might want to do. You need to break those down in a non-entertainment way. You need to not write to entertain yourself. You need to not write to entertain others. You need to write to communicate specifically, and to communicate passionately. And you need to write to own the emotion that you have that you're putting into the world. It's like stepping out in the traffic, and you got to know what you're stepping out with and where you're going. And that's part of it. You can't once you release your work, you have to be able to stand by it. You need to be able to do that because people are going to knock you down. You have to be like, that's fine. I am secure.
I,
I am just really. I've been through it. I filtered it. I've gone through it. I've talked to people. I know exactly what this is, and it's not on accident. This is
Sure.
purposeful, and I can do this shit. That's important.
I love it.
That's what someone needs to go with. My opinion.
Awesome. So right on. So any of you aspiring writers out there, take a listen to what Arnold has to say, you guys. And yeah, absolutely. And I can attest you're very good at what you do. And you put a lot of care into what you do. So you've when I first got into education, Arnold was my very first boss. That's how we met. He was my very first boss when I worked with kids in after school programming, and we ended up starting our own after school program together, and had a lot of fun, developing some curriculum and doing a bunch of stuff and working together for a lot of years, and then we just became good friends and hung out a lot. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again, bud. I'm looking forward to coming up to Tacoma, meeting your daughter, seeing you guys again, and I can't wait to do that, man. So
Should be a blast.
absolutely, it's been wonderful having you on the show today. It really has, man. I always appreciate having somebody on with some good skill. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like to showcase, art in all its forms. We've had on some great filmmakers before. You're our first author that we've had on the show, and I'm stoked to have you. And
So I'm the one and only.
you're the one and only author we've had so far, my man.
You're damn right.
Yeah.
You're damn right.
And the rest of the week we got a bunch of really awesome guests. Tomorrow we have Mr. Kyle Romero from the Mind Tasting Podcast, and on Wednesday we'll have Mr. Zachary Zellner, amazing drummer from Hollywood, California. On Thursday we'll have Mr. Tim Cruz, film director and producer, all around amazing filmmaker. And on Friday we'll have musical guest Mr. Kevin Cablo, Klepto K, in the house doing the damn thing with the Loop Station. He's a Loop Station genius, and he's going to be doing some amazing stuff for us on Friday. Some stuff definitely some stuff you haven't seen before. So make sure you tune in this week to the listening room, you guys. Tomorrow evening at 8:00, I'll be going live for some Human Jukebox, and then Thursday evening at 8:00, we'll be live with with a jam session with multiple musicians here. So we will see you guys there the rest of the week. My sincere thanks to our guest today, Mr. UL Harper. Wonderful to have you. Before we get out of here, let's go ahead and check in with Ms. Daisy one more time. All right, you guys have been awesome today. Thank you all. Love you all. I'll see you guys tomorrow night on the listening room. Have a wonderful evening, you guys. Thanks for being a part of the listening room tonight. My name is Eddie Booze. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notifications, and give the video a like. We'll see you guys every Monday through Friday right here at 6:30. Take care.